Hello there, and welcome to episode 93 here at CUZZO-OP. I'm one of the hosts here at CUZZO-OP, Arrow, also known as Willie, and as usual, we have the other host here at CUZZO-OP,
Isaiah, aka IV. What's up with it? How we living, guys? Episode 93.
Episode 93, and we're here back with the Marvel talk. It's been a bit since we've had some Marvel talk.
It is.
And we're here to talk about Captain America Brave New World, aka Cap 4. We talked a little bit about it 2 weeks ago, I believe, while we were discussing our little recap of 2024 and what movies we've recently watched. You know, we hit a little bit of that kind of conversation. You kind of hinted we need to talk about Cap 4 because I'm pissed off, and I'm of the opinion of, I'm not as pissed off, and I wonder why he's pissed off. Let's see what he can say, because I might be like, yeah, I can see that, because there's a lot that I could see about this movie, but I'm just going to throw it out there right now. I think it has been overly hated on the internet as well as overly praised. So that's where I'm coming into this conversation. Let's find out where IV is, and then we could really talk. So,
yeah, I could relate. I think there are things that are actually good about this film in concept. I just think the execution of it fell short, and that is a large amount of why I actually was quite offended by this film.
Right, you used that word, that offended.
I was offended by this film, and I'm not as frustrated as I was when I first saw it, which was nearer to when we recorded and I was on record when we were doing the recap. But the frustrations have been substituted with more analysis of why it is I feel the way I feel. And those are thoughts I'm taking with me as we head forward into Thunderbolts and then into Fantastic Four and all that.
Okay. Well, I got to say, I'm glad that we've waited some time then to let that sink in and simmer.
Let that air out.
Yeah. All right. So it's been a while since we've just sat and talked about a movie, and we have pillars here at CUZZO-OP that we like to dive into and say, hey, let's talk about a movie in this way. So you think that that's going to be a valid way to do this conversation, or you want to hop right into what pisses you off, or you want to just maybe analyze it all throughout the movie?
I mean,
or the discussion.
If we keep the pillars up, I'm still gonna go in. You know what I mean? I'm still gonna go in. But if we don't keep the pillars up, I'm also still gonna go in. So it really is.
So then let's do the pillars, bro.
I'm with it.
So let's talk about the sound and score of Captain America 4. Actually, you know what? Before we even discuss any of that, let's talk about our mindsets going into the movie. How are we entering Cap 4? Post phases 4 and 5, as well as expectations of a Captain America movie, right? Because those are all so different. For me, phase 4, doing a reflection on phase 4, post-pandemic, you feel it, you see it in certain areas, ups and downs. And I think those downs are being highlighted more, especially as we enter into phase 5. And I think I've always said it, there's a mix of, the quality has dipped a little bit, but I think people's expectations and wants have also taken a huge nosedive. Yep. And they're being overly critical in many areas, especially post Endgame or something like that. You know what I'm saying? And so there's dimensions and there's levels here that I'm like, we can't do it all that conversation in 20 minutes. So I entered this movie like, let's see what it can do as the first MCU film of the year, as well as, a fourth Captain America movie. I'm hoping to see some of the themes that were in the first trilogy here, while, of course, changing it up a bit to match the title character, as we know that there's been a change. So let's see what it can do. However, it is also my least excited MCU film for 2025. So that's also where I was entering in from. So I'll let you take on this section.
Yeah, I feel like Falcon and the Winter Soldier, we got a Disney Plus exposure to the Captain America via Falcon, via Sam, on the other end of Captain America deciding that he's going to give the shield to him. And we got a lot of origin from that, And these are, again, some of the things I liked. Some of the things I actually liked about that was us getting more of a personal touch to where the convictions of Sam as a principled military black man, what kind of roots he comes from and who he fights for and why he fights. Those are all very important aspects of his character. And so this movie is in an interesting place because it feels like the sequel to some things, but it doesn't feel like one sole sequel for one concept or one. It doesn't feel like the origin of his Captain America story as much as it feels like a sequel. And I think that that's part of what also has it unhinged in some of its themes and principles. So that's one thing that I'm coming in with expectations. Another thing is they're marketing it as Winter Soldier toned, as spy toned, as very weighty. And as we've said on record here, I think Winter Soldier is the best Marvel movie. So an expectation I came in with wasn't that this was going to be Winter Soldier, because I just don't think they'll ever be able to do that again. Like Russo brothers were just cooking. Like they cooked so hard off that theme, off that concept. They made 4 or 5 other movies that touch that. Extractions and Gray Mans and what's the movie with Chadwick Boseman with the bridges, 21 bridges, 24 like they got a pocket. So I'm letting that expectation go. I'm just going to come in here saying, okay, y'all want to get gritty and nitty. Y'all want to bring Harrison Ford in to replace. These are expectations I have. I watched the trailer one time. The one thing that was really big on the trailer that I think is important to mention now is I also know Red Hulk is in this movie. One of the major issues I had with this film was knowing that Red Hulk was in this movie before I even sat down. So I'm coming with expectations I have to debunk and a hope that we get a Captain America out of Sam that is very his own. I want it to be his own. I want him to be to come into the role. Well, it's his movie, right? Captain America, Brave New World, right? Not Old World. So those are the expectations I definitely came in. So I sat there in my Cinemark seat, purchasing one of my first films of the year for me with my corn, my little kitty pack, my little snack pack with a blue icy and my little Welch's that I throw on top of the popcorn with the butter on top so you get the salty, the sweet, and the savory all at once. And I was ready.
All right. Yeah, I sat down in my AMC over here in the Bronx, the only theater in the Bronx, and some dude 3 seats down from me had Popeyes. Now, by all means, bring food into the theater. I do it. He waited till the movie started to start eating his food. I respect it. He turned his light on every time he reached into his box off his phone to grab a piece of his food, bro. Flashlight in the back row. So it's shining all over the whole seats, all of them in front of him.
What's wrong with dudes?
That is craziness.
That's insanity, bro. That's just
I was like,
criminal.
I looked at my boy AI. I was like, and he just looked at me like, I'm tired of this. He lives about 20 minutes walking distance away from the theater, but it's like this compacted area where it's all called the same thing. I looked on his face. He was like, I'm tired of my own people here, man. Like, and I was just here like, as a person from the Bronx, I'm tired of it too.
Facts.
But
Facts.
not the people, just like, we in the movie theater, bro. You know,
Yeah.
You do this on a train, do it on a train. I don't care. But really, you waited till after the lights turned off. So the first 10 minutes of the movie was a lot of flashlights shining on the screen. But I've seen the movie twice, so I'm good.
Okay.
But you talked about your theater experience, and I just wanted to showcase that.
I'm so sorry you went
Since 2020, people are still living in their living rooms just outside.
But go to the movies though.
Absolutely, go to the movies. Shout out Sean Baker. So the first pillar we have to talk about this is the sound and score. I have not much to say about this. Marvel does everything good in this department in terms of sound. The shield bangs, I hear it. I'm like, oh, that's Cap's shield flying across the room. Sam flying through the air. Okay, that's a jet. Like, I got no problems there.
Yeah, it's clear. I mean, I also enjoyed the opening montage of him training with Isaiah. The song of them walking into the White House. Like, I liked it because it's actually the first 15 minutes of the film were probably my favorite part of the film. I think it just gave the tone of who Sam is and they chose a good songs, good vibes, good like energy, fresh. It felt new. It felt brave and new. You know what I mean? I'm like, yeah, I'm with it. And yeah, sound throughout the movie is great, from the roars of Hulk to the scene fighting out on the Eternal Hand, by the Eternal Hand, like the Top Gun type vibes, like excellent sound design. Sound design is great. Also, sound design is great in that scene. I think of that mostly because we're going back and forth between Thunderbolt. What's his name? Thaddeus Ross having his whole almost Hulk breakdown, and the fight in the air, and they're just going back and forth between them, and the intensity and the anxiety. The sound plays a major role in that. So again, Marvel doesn't really fail here often, and I'm not going to say they failed here. I thought that they did well on that.
Right. I think technical aspects of like sound, they mostly do well.
They do well.
Visuals, they have hiccups at times.
They do.
But more or less, you know that you're going to be watching something that maybe at least once or twice you're going to go, oh, wow. And visually and audibly say like, oh, wow. You know? So going into cinematography, and we'll also kind of put this kind of like as an editing section as well.
Sure.
It looks as I expect from a Marvel movie, an average Marvel movie, I suppose I should say, because there are some that defy it and they uplift it and they change the vibe. Here, nothing special, nothing terrible, outside of the fact that the editing on some of the fighting sequences, specifically earlier on in the film with Anthony Mackie on the ground, boots on the ground Mackie, I'm not impressed. Not impressed with boots on the ground Mackie. When he's out of his suit, especially the first sequence where he goes toe to toe with the one guy, where you're basically recreating the start of Winter Soldier with them going down on a boat, but he's landing in the compound and he has the one guy that's actually putting up a fight with him, but you know he's going to win.
Shout out to GSP.
Cap and Homeboy from Winter Soldier clears this in terms of that opening struggle fight. Even the editing of it, I was just like, no, this doesn't look good. Some sequences did. I think Mackie has the physicality in him. I think the editing failed Mackie. I don't think they trusted Mackie to deliver as much as he could have.
You just said the line, and we just keep pulling the thread. Every topic. This is when, again, still my favorite part of the film, but this is the issue with this film. They trusted Mackie only so much. And it felt like that. And I get it. Cap landing on the boat, he goes to Nia Man off the boat. Yeah, you see that power. You see that difference between the first Avenger and Winter Soldier. Like, he has the serum in him. He's really a beast. Like, y'all can't hang with him. When GSP, George St. Pierre, playing that bad guy, and they get into the grapple fight at the end, like his equal fight to what Sam has, like you said. It's just like, it's a technicality fight, but he's holding back. Like, he's trying to take him down, not kill him. So that fight is a lot more engaging and enticing because it's got that Superman feel where he's got to hone himself. And this, right from the beginning, all of Sam's cards are out. I don't have serum in me. And that was part of my disillusionment right from the beginning of the film. And they keep having that fallacy the whole film, right from the beginning. So, and yeah, I didn't like his boy flying in with the bike scene. I thought that was whack. I thought that was kind of corny too. Like, it just didn't feel, he like, did anybody see that? I'm like, no, bro, we saw it, but it wasn't that cool. We seen way cooler stuff. Chill. Wow.
Yeah, but he meant to be corny. He meant to be corny. And here's what I'll say.
100%.
Here's what I'll say.
You're right.
I think that there's a serum point I want to bring up when we get to the themes.
Okay.
Because the serum keeps coming in here. I'm going to say this out loud, though. I believe if my train of thought is correct, in terms of Disney Plus TV shows connecting to a movie, this is the second one, right? WandaVision connected to Doctor Strange 2, and now Cap and Winter Soldier connects to this. I think it's 2 for 2 at this point in time, where it almost feels like, did that show not exist? Did we not watch? Does it not matter? Okay. We know that the Doctor Strange 2 squad said that they didn't read WandaVision. They didn't watch that. They just had to create their own thing, which is why it's like, she's kind of buns in that movie a little bit. Cause like, now here I'm like, there are some things they do with Sam we could talk about later. I'm like, but we did this already. And I understand that characters will have those moments where they need to go back and touch back into like some meaning. But this movie almost kind of made it feel to me like we just looked at Falcon and the Winter Soldier and said, maybe not everybody watched this. So we're going to take some of this and we're going to put it over here and we'll get there.
I don't like that. And part of me goes, okay, maybe it's because of where Marvel is. Marvel's giving almost everybody and their moms an opportunity to direct a film, and the difference, what I also feel is this happened with Civil War when we saw the Black Panther in Civil War, and then we saw the Black Panther in the Black Panther movie. And they're two different power levels, two different gravitases, two different combat styles, two different weights. They have a different weighty. There's a weightiness that was in Civil War that did not exist in Black Panther. Now, that's a director's difference, a visionary's difference. But this is where I have to hold Kevin Feige accountable. This is Kevin Feige's fault. This is where he's getting lazy. And it might just be time for somebody else to come and take the mantle that Kevin Feige has as big producer, because I was just talking to somebody today, best believe the animation on DC stuff since James Gunn's taken over hasn't been my favorite compared to Young Justice and some of the oldies, but it's undeniable that the continuity of the writing is all elevated. And it's because when it touches Gunn's desk, he's making sure it fits in the ultimate 30,000 foot view of what's going on. Disney has gotten its hands in this so deep, and Kevin has gotten lazy about making sure that there's continuity the way that you're explaining. And I feel like that was, so you can't play on something old in the past, but then not play by the same rules. I hate that shit, bro. That stuff pisses me off. And that's how I felt already. Now we already 15, 20 minutes in. I'm like, shoot, here we go.
Right. Speaking on the way the movie looks, there's a final sequence. That entire area didn't look great to me.
The cherry blossoms?
Yeah. Some of them were real. They had a set built with the background at times. I'm like, I don't know if this is real or not. Because on one hand, sometimes it looks real, but on the other, it feels like you're standing in front of a green screen.
Yeah.
And so I didn't think it was the best looking.
I agree. That's a good point.
And
That's
like,
a good point.
I heard someone bring up the fact that cameras, I don't know if it's just cope, cameras are getting so good, it's going to be harder to make fake things look real. But I'm like, yo, Iron Man 1 looked real, bro. And I'm not even one of the people to shout back to the old stuff like that. We've had tons of conversation where I'm like, stop looking back.
Sure.
But in terms of how a film looks, 18 years or however the hell many years we are away from Iron Man, 17, whoa.
Yeah.
Something's up.
There is something up, and I don't know what it is. Well, no, I do know some things about what it is, but they're definitely, it's just lazy. You said it. It's mediocre. It's not intentional. Hey, bro, the guy who directed this film has never gotten a film that's above 3.5 stars. That he's not done a lot. You know what I mean? And I think that plays a role here. They didn't give the movie over to somebody who can elevate it. They is going to make sure it comes off elevated. Somebody who's like, oh man, I got a Marvel budget for a movie. And it shows. It feels like it right from the beginning. Now, I'm not going to be here just sipping hater juice. I'm trying to keep it balanced. And so what I will also speak on is there are some scenes in terms of the way that the photography of the film is set up that I did like a lot. That scene in the White House with the darkness and the focus shot on who's a op, who's a not, who's Hydra, who's not, like that was really well done. The close-up shots, a lot of bokeh used where you get the blur, kind of like my camera right now, and focused in on Sam's small responses and facial. Those are all very well done. And again, bro, I cannot say enough about that the dog fight scene by the Eternal Hand. I thought that was
phenomenal.
beautiful and almost immaculate in terms of like, yeah, this should be studied. If there's anything from this film that should be studied, it's this scene in terms of this needing to have a lot of intentionality brought to it, because this is who he is now. As Captain America, that's Falcon, this is it. This is his fight scene. It would have kind of been cool if they started off with some shit like this, like a dog
I
fight.
agree. I do agree. But hey,
So
they didn't. They had reshoots a year after principal photography. That's when they brought characters in. And so
yeah,
I
we
want
know.
to talk. Let's just jump into the script really quick. I'm going to say script wise before we go into themes and narrative. I'm going to change the way our pillars work a little bit. Script, not the best. Not the best script in terms of what was coming out of the characters' mouths and why it was coming out of their mouths. Holy shit. Did I feel, and I watched this movie earlier today in preparation for our conversation the second time. They do not trust the audience one bit in this movie. You've got General Ross or President Ross kind of hinting you in, getting that phone call talking about, yo, is he still in there? Okay, so that whoever's in that cell is the bad guy and you did something wrong to him. All right, next. Oh, he broke out and I'm coming for you, Ross. Okay. Then they get to the spot. General Ross did bad things to me and I'm coming out. Sam, don't try to stop me. Okay, I get it. All right, now we get to the dude on base that's telling Sam, Gus Fring, yeah, Ross held him captivity and did this. Oh, I get it. I get it now, Sam. You should get it too, Sam. And then they go to Ross, and then he's like, Ross, you did bad things. I had to. Yo, we didn't need like 5 of them. We didn't need Gus Fring to reiterate what we could all put together fairly quickly. But they threw Gus Fring in at the last minute. Maybe he'll come back for more. Yada, yada, yada. We'll talk about that later. They don't trust the audience with this one, I feel, at all. Especially, for people, the movie's always going to have to do the thing where they set it up, even if you've watched the other ones. Betsy, my daughter. Like, everybody knows who Betsy Ross is, especially in your cabinet, bro. So you just told someone in your cabinet that Betsy Ross is your daughter. We watched the news feed earlier where it said that already. And they say it like 4 more times. His daughter, Betsy, and that's why your daughter...
Trash.
Paper thin to me. That's where it starts becoming like you're stretching it. You're stretching it, and it's going to snap, and it's going to be on you. Because you don't trust me? Okay.
I agree with you. And I think you're saying it well. And this was my issue with Deadpool and Wolverine. So we're going back to an overarching MCU issue because everybody was talking about this movie being amazing. And I think it's the shock factor and the fan service that made that movie so cool. But that script was literally all exposition. Because then you're going to have to go A, B, and then do C and D. I'm here because I was sent from A and B to do C and D. Insert funny Deadpool joke that's meta that if you watch Mad Marvel movies. Like, that was their formula on every single scene in all of that script. And that's what this film wrestled with too. It didn't dare to have subtext. It didn't dare to have us feel the weight of what it is that's not being spoken. And this is also, and this is where I'll take it into my world here. This is where my offense comes up, bro. Here's my thing I'm offended about, Willie. I've told all my black friends, yo, you saw the new Captain America Brave New World? Nah. Should I? Yes. Go see it. Is it good? No, that's not why I'm telling you to go see it. You need to just go see it because you are a black man in America. This movie was directed by a black man. It was directed by a black man. I feel like the way that this script is set up, it also tries to do an exposition on black plight that is so corny to me at this day and age and at this point in time that it just kept aggravating me every time that it would pop up. One of the things that we were already introduced to, the Louisiana roots of Sam, is already understood through Captain America, Falcon and the Winter Soldier. So bringing back that point and not just subtexting it and letting it subtly be carried by the character, but him going off on monologue after monologue about the pressure and the weight he feels before these people, while also politicking through this script, irked the fudge out of me, bro. I'm gonna be honest with you, bro. He's talking to Thaddeus, bro. And I'm looking at him and I'm like, this man is the most cookie cutter written character ever. It's like they had the archetype of Steve Rogers and then the white man. And then they said, okay, he's not here anymore. We need you, Sam, to rise to the occasion through the script, through the writing of the character. And then a lot of my friends, you know, after the movie's done, I look at my boy George, shout out to George. I go, yo, George. He goes, yo, I'm like, what you think? He goes, he just gives me side character energy, bro. I don't think he can carry a film on his own. That is what somebody from I'm not saying he's the only opinion, but the reality is that the way that this script is set up, back to your point, they didn't trust Anthony Mackie enough to let him become who he is. They instead set up something for him to fill. And it's a meta issue through the script, the themes, the concepts. So I feel like that constant point, the script does nothing for that. And therefore the subtext, the saying things without saying anything, that all, it doesn't leave any room for us to interpret anything other than mediocre, fudged in, like kind of he's just like muscled in. And I saw one reviewer say something like, yo, you really could cut and paste almost any Marvel character and put them in Sam's position. And at the end of the day, like it kind of is the same movie if you think about it. Like just take Ant-Man and put him in this bitch. It would be the same shit. I'm like, yo, that's actually a very valid point. That proves hollow, surfacey script. It's not deep. It's not embedded in something that makes it so that you have to have a Sam in this. And that is a major issue of the film. Easy.
Heard it. I have thoughts on Anthony Mackie once we get to acting, of course. Sure. But writing wise for Sam, I watched Winter Soldier coming home that evening where I first saw this. I ran Winter Soldier back because I was
we all did to watch that shit out of our system.
Well, no, not even that. I just wanted to see where Sam started.
Yeah.
And Sam started in a really good place. One of my reviews for Winter Soldier when I had rewatched it over the last few years is, where did this Sam go? Because after this, even, you know, credit to the Russo brothers when they're handling an MCU film, they didn't do Sam right post this, the way they did in Winter Soldier. You know, as soon as you catch him in Civil War, he's kind of like lessened. That guy who was running the you know, the meetings for the veterans and, you know, talking all that hot shit about, you know, how we got to look out. Where'd he go? He just found a new squad and decided to become the jokester of the group.
He did.
And not even a good jokester, to be honest. He has some lines where I thought were funny, but I'm like, nah, you already got Tony for that, bro. Relax. But
you saying they fridged the black man? Is that what you saying?
Is that you giving me the allowance to say that, bro?
Yes, that's all what this is about. They
so
fridged
there
the
we
black
go.
man.
But Infinity War and Endgame, that same premise with him. Falcon and the Winter Soldier opened new doors, but to the point where you almost like, oh shit, wait a minute. We came back. Oh, damn. This movie finds a middle ground where I'm like, ooh, this is the Falcon and the Winter Soldier Sam and the Winter Soldier Sam kind of mixing to the point where I kind of like it. They didn't do crazy amounts, kind of like what you're saying, but this is not the guy from Civil War, Infinity War, and Endgame, and I like that. So we're going somewhere. Can they trust Anthony Mackie to get there? Like I said, I'll talk about that later, but I'm not mad at where Sam is compared to where he's been these last few years.
That's a good take, bro. That's a healthy take.
So I'm
agree.
interested.
I agree. I think part of what it is also is the squeaky clean aspect of him feeling like he has to be a squeaky clean presentation of self. And they tie that to his character. I get what they were trying to do there. And I again, politicking, like I get what they're trying to get off in that. But like you said earlier, I just wish that they had given it more room to let it just be said. Let it be said with the way that Thaddeus scoffs about him instead of saying it directly. Let it be said with maybe even the character pointing out, me and you, Sam, aren't too different. We're two people being used for the president, like by the president. Like lines like that, where it's like you're deepening this concept and you're creating a way for the characters around the main character to be a mirror of the problem and of the weight. And they do it in wishy-washy ways. Isaiah and the guilt he feels toward Isaiah, and then fridging him in the jail for the entirety of the movie. That shit was crazy to me, bro. I just think that shit it's back on the same point I just said about the black man being fridged, you know? But then there are moments where his mentorship toward Joaquin reminds me of some of the way that Cap took Sam under his wing, pun intended. And I appreciate some of that. I do appreciate some of that.
Right. So, I mean, I think it's safe to say, let's go into the themes. We've been going back and forth. Let's dive in. I mean, Isaiah Bradley, I thought was fantastic in sense of performance, but there are things that they write into his character that I'm like, wow, that's incredibly impactful if you just understand the history that people have gone through here, especially Isaiah Bradley, especially when he's like, watch my suit, yo, put me in the handcuffs and all that, just watch my suit, because that's probably something that he sees as his. You know, we wear clothes and we go out, but you got a man here who had 30 years of his life taken away from him, and to something like that, something as simple as just a nice suit, is something that people like him probably didn't think they would ever experience again when they were under lock and key. And so for him to own that and want that, I loved it. I liked how it came back around at the end. However, I've seen people say that ensemble cast moment, that Avengers Endgame moment where people come out of nowhere to help you save the day. Yeah. Some people believe that Bradley should have been let out of jail and taken a bigger role in the final act of the film with Sam.
What do you think about that?
They kind of put it as a way of Bradley being the one to talk Ross down from the Red Hulkness. And I'm a little mixed, right? Because that's the whole, you know, it's all ties into the super soldier serum as well as what I was saying earlier about Falcon and the Winter Soldier. So let me break this down and then we could come back around to this. Let's look at number one, super soldier serum covered in Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Can you be Captain America with or without this? And it was decided that what? You can be, and we'll even give you some vibranium to help. And so to get that back again in this movie, I'm just kind of like, I get why, but at the same time, I'm tired of this conversation. Shit got hard for 2 seconds, and he was like, "Oh damn, maybe I do need that. Maybe I'm not good enough." And now I want to hear your point that you said a few weeks ago as well. When Bucky Barnes shows up, that pissed you off even more, because I have not been able to understand why, and I'm hoping you can clue me in because I'm open to it because I get it. So.
The only reason why Bucky Barnes don't get active in this movie is because he's in Thunderbolts.
Absolutely.
That's why.
Absolutely. Because in my opinion, he would.
So I'm watching the black man politic. I'm watching the black man swallow his feelings and then tell how he actually feels to the black right hand CIA agent or Secret Service agent of the president. You know how he is. And I get it. These are conversations that happen all over the world, corporate wise, power wise. She's the help. I get it. If that's what y'all trying to do, then we get it. But guess what? Because that's what you're trying to do, I don't like it. I don't like that you're doing that. So then here he goes and tries to believe in himself and stand for something independent of the serum. And the entire time he's second guessing himself while the entire world is already second guessing him. And then at the end, the whole, I got a lot of pressure as a black man, telling Joaquin why he in the hospital bed. It just feels like my fault. I got to put a lot of effort in. Yo, that shit was like 3 minutes long, that last scene. Him monologuing to him about like a bow on top of all of the politicking that I got to do to be. And I feel like this idea of like, he doesn't have the super serum, but he's smart and he's witty and he connects with people when he talks to them. That shit is ass. I'm not hearing it. No. Want to know why? Cap was that without the serum, with the serum. So it's not enough of a reason. Give me a different concept. Oh, well, he combats in air. He can do combat in the air, and he has connection to these veterans, and that's his thing. Like, he is connected to the people who serve. Like, okay, so play more into that. They didn't even play into that a lot. That wasn't even respected. It was like brought up once or twice as like a little side detail. So these are all my issues with the serum not existing for him. You might as well have just given him the damn serum. You know what I mean? But then you get this scene with Bucky, and Bucky is in a fucking suit, bro. He's in a suit. He's in a suit with a metal arm.
Running for Congress.
Yo, bro, that John pissed me off. We just watched him get his butt whooped. We saw him fail in the second act. And right before the third act begins, we're going to have this. It's almost like a reverse God in the machine, Deus Ex Machina moment, where it's like the resolution for this issue is going to just fall out the sky. That's a common trope. The resolution for this issue is this man who has the super serum is politicking in a manner when he should be the one with the power solving the issues, while the black man becomes the one that runs Congress because he's great for talking. He knows how to talk and connect with people. It just feels weird. What's the point in the scene? I don't get it. It doesn't. It's like spitting on me. You're spitting on me for watching your movie. That's what the scene felt like. Dudes was like, oh, cameo from Bucky. That's great. We got him in here. I don't care. I actually would have preferred the movie to not have him in it at all. Just let him go through this on his own. You know what I mean? Like, and but it's supposed to play on their relationship. You know, they end that conversation and he says, I love you, bro. I love you too. We love that because they was beefing. I hate you when Spider-Man beating their ass in the airport in Civil War. We get it. Their relationship is grown. We've seen them become friends in that show. But bro, I didn't need that scene to be the way that it went for me to feel like I can understand their relationship. It just felt like salt in the wound. It felt weird. It felt, and that goes back to the editing and the writing. The pacing of this movie felt weird. There were some points where the pacing
It's taped
was weird.
together. It's taped together through reshoots.
It's taped together. So that's what I had an issue with when it comes to the super serum and what I feel like Bucky is. Bucky is literally a middle finger to Sam in that scene and to us as the audience, trying to believe in Sam and then undermining him in that scene. That's what it felt like. It didn't feel like he was encouraged. It felt like you were backhand complimenting him with a metal arm. What are we talking about, bro?
Interesting. So here's how I kind of viewed it, right? Because number one, the people have been debating for years. Should it have been Bucky? Should it have been Sam? And I have the opinion that it should have been Sam getting the shield because Bucky has a lot more he needs to work on, public opinion wise, as well as his own mental, before he can even think about taking up that shield.
And we know he will eventually.
Sure. I just, I think that scene was kind of like a, hey, I was Steve's friend and I'm your friend now. And I just know I believed in him and I believe in you, right? And I'm on one hand, I'm like, that's cool for Sam because it is my opinion that Bucky should have played a little bit more of a role. We won't know what is really up with him until Thunderbolts. And so I'm kind of holding off on all Bucky opinions until then.
Sure.
But we didn't need him in this.
No.
If they were just doing that, like,
yes.
Because you're introducing something else now that it's like, I don't even want to judge Falcon or this movie Cap 4 before seeing Thunderbolts with something you've introduced, because to me, I just need to know why. You know what I mean? Like, you can say Bucky can't be out in the field doing stuff, which is why he didn't help Sam because he was running for Congress and he needed to keep a good image. But she introduced that to me here, and now I gotta wait 5 months to figure out how I feel about it.
Yep.
I love Bucky, love seeing him, love him and Sam interacting. So on one hand, awesome, I'm happy I got it. But on the other hand, I low-key would have been perfectly fine without it.
Yep.
Because it really was just a conversation that they already had in Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Exactly. So I've seen this before. Friends are going to be there for you. Good friends, they'll be there for you to pick you up. Even if you're knocked down from something you're already knocked down from, I'd better not see this shit again. Just to make an important theme like that a throwaway joke line at the end of the flick, I don't know about that.
I don't like that. I don't like that. And okay, so how would you rather have it then, Isaiah? Okay, well, how about like later on when it's time to assemble the Avengers, somebody speaking on Sam and Bucky standing up for him? Like, how about that? How about his belief in him as a character being something he shows and how he operates, how he co-signs this decision? Those are more moments that would be meaningful to me. You know, it would have been more cool if Bucky got called in by Thaddeus and got asked his opinion, or, you know, like something like that, where it's like, okay, now the power struggle of, you know, are the Avengers going to be Avengers? Is Bucky going to stand firm on what he said in Winter Soldier, the way that he would stand up for? Now it's his words are actually appreciated and redeemed because of the fact that Steve stood in the gap and tried to fight for his friend. And then he could have done the same and passed it on. Like, there's so many ways that you could do it. And if you just think about it
That
for
was
like
great.
10, 15 more minutes,
That was
then it
great.
would have happened, bro.
That was great.
But these boys did not do that. They just taped it together and they stuffed my man in that joint, bro. And I was like, nah, this scene is garbage. Poopies. Trash.
That was great. That was good. That was a cooking moment right there. You saying that Steve stood on 10 toes and then he
Come on, bro. We got opportunity. It's subtext, though. We talking about subtext now. We talking about implications from a scene to a scene without it being, now we're going to get to the next scene and then the next.
Hey, Ross did me dirty 5 times in your film.
So stupid, bro. Another theme I definitely want to speak on here is, let's talk Ross. Let's talk Ross. Let's talk.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's talk power. Yeah. Tell me about that for you. What did you think about Harrison Ford stepping in, and what did you? I know we'll talk about acting, but what did you think about that? Like, because they did play into even in some of the script him being the replacement, and then kind of taking it.
Sure, you'll hear. I'll probably reiterate it just later when we're talking about acting. The movie is incredibly predictable, and not even just because I've seen the trailer. Right out the gate, you see everything coming from a mile away in this film, and Ross is no different, especially if you've been following the character since he first appeared in The Incredible Hulk in 2010. It's just been that way. Or 2008, whatever year that movie came out. Now, Harrison Ford stepping into the role. I didn't care much. Why? Why didn't Harrison Ford is one of the greatest actors of all time. I agree. And I think he gave a good performance. But like many of the other recasts in the MCU, thinking back to Terrence Howard
and Don
Cheadle, they're not casting for people that fit well into the role that they're recasting for. They're just fucking recasting. They just needed an old white dude, and Harrison Ford got the star power to bring that shit into the film and get people to sit in the seats.
They stuffed them in there, man.
That wasn't Ross. To me, it was a version of Ross, but that's not the same Ross from The Incredible Hulk, Civil War, Black Widow, Endgame. He didn't even try. They didn't even try. They slapped on a mustache on him for one scene and tried to give him a little throwback, and I looked at him like, that is not even him. Because they're two different actors. Yeah. Some may say Harrison Ford is more charismatic and charming to the public eye compared to William Hurt, who definitely fit the general role, the more calm and, I'm going to kick your ass, Sam, if you don't get back here. But you know what? I would have much preferred if they had given Harrison Ford the challenge of trying to portray the character that we had seen before versus Harrison Ford come in and just be Harrison Ford, however you choose to do it. Make the character your own, sure, but honor the character. Even though he hasn't appeared in much, let's try to be consistent. So when it came to Ross, the predictable storyline plus the disconnect from him just feeling like not a completely different character, but a different enough character, left me just kind of feeling like,
yeah, it's well said.
And now we're doing a Hulk movie without the Hulk as well.
That's the whole point. With
the villain that created the Hulk and the Abomination, plus Thaddeus Ross. Then they want to talk about Betty, the entire movie. The way they talked the Red Hulk down was stupid. I'm going to be real, straight up. Because they did it in Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Exactly. And it wasn't really done well then.
It wasn't.
And because you're redoing it now, if Falcon and the Winter Soldier didn't exist, maybe I'll give you the Red Hulk. Maybe I'll give it to you. Because we saw Natasha talk the Hulk down, and I think Ross was a bit more under control than Bruce was. But even then, like,
they have a romance, they have a connection, they're playing on subtext. They're playing on depth. They're leveraging the depth of their relationship through that scene.
Someone that I listened to their reviews of, he kind of put it perfectly, and I'm going to butcher the way he said it. Shout out Sean Chandler. He said, Ross is trying to say to everyone, I'm changed. He's trying to tell his daughter over the phone, I've changed. He's telling Sam, I'm a changed man. But you're reaping the benefits of who you were before you changed, which is why there is still a disconnect from you and your people. And so at the end of the movie, I'm just kind of like, I'm shaken up because it doesn't feel earned.
Yeah, it's good. It's a good point, man.
And then on top of your point of the advertisements showed me this shit so long ago that
and that's part of my issue. One of the reviewers I saw made that point, and I thought that was, shout out Cosmonaut. That was a really good point. It's like, if you went into this movie and you didn't know Hulk was in it, it actually would be a completely different experience if you think about it, because the twist of the film comes in the third act when he's in the press conference and he becomes the Hulk. Think about it. If you never knew that the Hulk was in this movie and we go to the scene with the dogfight and you're seeing Thaddeus wrestle because this thing is coming out of him, you're seeing veins pop, but you never knew that Hulk was on it. Hulk wasn't on the poster punching the Cap shield. If you never knew it, you'd be like, oh shoot, no, they're about to do Hulk. They're going to do Hulk. They're going to do Hulk. And you would have been like, oh, it's Hulk versus Falcon. This is crazy. But they didn't. Their biggest twist was their biggest marketing tool to get people to come see Cap, undermining Anthony Mackie as Cap as a reason people will come to the theater. Same thing that you said earlier. They don't trust him. Same thing I said earlier. They're fridging the black man by having him be overshadowed by a plot point and a character that is more important to the story than the main character of the story. And then it gets to this last point about the sequels. This is more of an Incredible Hulk 2 than it is a actual new story for Cap to be Cap. And that is part of, yet at the end, the pressure that he's feeling is what he wants to go off on. It's misplaced and it's distasteful for me, bro. That's why I was freaking irked off the flick. I was like, yo, what did we just watch? Like, I don't even, implications wise, the idea at the end when he sees him in the raft and he's talking to him while he's behind the cell instead of Falcon being in the cell, they thought they cooked, but they didn't cook, bro. Just because you plated something doesn't mean you cooked, dude. That's really my big thing here. And Marvel has this idea where they think that's the vibe we all have since phase 4, since phase 3 ended. Like, it's like, oh, but if we just played it for them, they'll just be happy it's out and it'll grow the comics weren't even released with this lack of attention to detail and lack of continuity. Like, the comics might have released a new piece or hero or a collaboration between heroes, but there's always the weight of this character means this and this is what this character stands for. And this movie just pasted everything together, bro. I didn't like any of that. I didn't like any of that. Did I think that Ross as a character via Harrison Ford was good? My opinion is yes. I enjoyed him. He was probably my favorite actor in the film, to be honest with you. The scene, again, I'm going to keep going back to the dogfight scene. That scene when he's stressed with the headset and he goes, excellent acting. I felt the tension of that through what Harrison was doing there. I love when he gets into those pockets where he gets to get like broken, fighting, and I love that because he's always like the solo, like he's always the like, I'm the man, I'm the Indiana, so when he's broken and he's like torn, I love when he emotes like that. It's one of my favorite versions of Ford. Right. So I love that he got that pocket. But outside of that, yeah, man, bringing up Betty over and over again when some people may never have seen The Incredible Hulk. And in fact, The Incredible Hulk was low-key retconned when you brought in Mark Ruffalo and you built out a Hulk attached to Mark Ruffalo. Now you want to whiplash me again and make me remember flashbacks in the opening of the scene to Incredible Hulk 1. And you want to give me a sequel to that storyline to give this man any type of an obstacle to rise above. That's not cool. Like, it's oh, y'all mad because we said things weren't tying in and we're waiting for you to tie it in, so you just butchered it and fridged us a tie-in? Like, that's what it feels like. This whole movie feels like not Brave New World. That shit feels like cowardly old shit. That's what it feels like. The whole flick. So, yo, bro, I was irked off that. I get it.
I absolutely get it.
Another theme before we finish up the themes here, unless you have more, is I couldn't stand the leader. I couldn't stand the leader as an antagonist. He, and we can talk about the leader and we can talk about the serpent. Like, we could talk about Giancarlo. Like let's talk about Giancarlo first before we get to the leader.
Well, Giancarlo was thrown in a year after this film was done
he was easily my favorite thing that he fought. My favorite thing. I respect
it because, in my opinion, there's both the moral and physicality parts, and this is where I got the most of it from Mackie as a Cap. But what was it, Swindler or Sides, whatever the hell his name is, bro, Giancarlo. He, I thought, was semi-interesting because I hate how he pops back up just to give old rehash the same shit, but he's still around. He's still around. Something can be done, right? He didn't die.
No, he didn't die.
Maybe.
Sidewinder.
Maybe we can get something, bro. Because that to me was like, ooh, that's a villain that I feel like makes sense for Cap.
It does. It makes sense for this Cap. Like if he explored that and had to figure out that, it would be so much better. And yeah, you're right. They did it. This is like when A New Hope came out. I mean when what's the seventh film?
Last Jedi or Force Awakens?
When Force Awakens came out and J.J. Abrams literally copied A New Hope down from script, theme, pacing, concepts. You could literally frame by frame find places that they paid homage and connected and just kind of followed the same blueprint to create a similar experience.
And it was beautiful.
It was beautiful, but here it's like they tried to do some of that with Winter Soldier, whole gunfight, the car, you know, the fighting, the junkyard, the flip kick and shit. Like, you thought you was gonna give us a knife flip. You thought you was gonna give us some of that with this. And you know what's crazy, bro? I liked that scene. I liked their conflict. I liked, like you said, what he did as Cap there with his no suit, had to fight, like get smart and fight. Like that is what makes Anthony Mackie great. The in the moment combat. Sam has to think about what the efficient way to take his person down is. I like all of that. That goes out the window when you fight Hulk. Right. You got nothing you could do. You're going to die. You have no serum in you. All you got is that dumbass shield. And that's all you got. And then your words, listen, you don't really have to.
And we're stepping into fucking multiverse territory where hopefully he's a tactician to the Avengers team and not the muscle, because
they didn't give him an opportunity to rise in a way that makes me feel I can believe in him as the leader of the team. And everybody says, oh, well, he did because he was the one that saw above it all and navigated them through the conflict. I guess, you know, but what's going to happen is we're going to have a boring Cap that is overshadowed by all the other heroes in the room with him. And it's because you guys keep setting this tone where that's what he's supposed to be, a stand-in. You fridging the black man, bro, having him play politics with the Marvel universe. And I just think that shit is ass, you know? So then you talk about the leader, and I don't give a crap about the leader, even a little bit. And his makeup is garbage. His whole presence is dookie butt, bro. Even the way he goes down is weak boy. Like it's another moment where it's like, I don't think none of Sam's punches are as hard as his lines when it comes to trying to take down antagonists in this film. And that is my issue. That's my issue. This is a superhero film, bro. This is a superhero film. No amount of talking is going to get Joaquin out that hospital bed, dog. It's just never going to happen, bro. It's going to keep him out that hospital bed, dog. It's just never going to happen, bro. And if y'all think y'all can make me believe in him just because he's slick with his mouth and he talks, no pause, I'm sorry, but I'm not with it. And I know Anthony Mackie can be and do more than that. So these common themes where there's just a lot of vacillation and taking the viewer for granted and not trusting us or trusting the protagonist to be a protagonist. And it just was a really confusing whirlwind of, I can't really tell you what I walked out of that felt like it was solid to stand on throughout the entirety of the movie. I just hated it. I hated that was like that.
They really could have done something with the leader and Isaiah being mirrored.
Yep.
As pawns of the government, just kind of forgotten or thrown back into their cells or put into new cells that maybe aren't. No.
They could have done a scene where as he's being admitted into the prison that Isaiah's in, Isaiah and him have a conversation as Isaiah is being freed, where they do a theme and they make that point you just made, where it's like, you know, they're a cell next to each other and they exchange a line or two. And then that's when the decree comes that Isaiah is not guilty and he gets freed. Like there could have been so many moments, bro. And don't even get me started about Ruth and her.
We're going to get to Ruth. We're getting to Ruth.
Let's get into
listen, last thing. I mean, shit, I don't even know what I was going to say anymore, bro, because now you pissed me off. So let's go into acting and let's start there. Let's start with Ruth. It's crazy. I know, right? But we said a lot about Mackie and Ford that we can come back around to them. So while we're in this little transition period, Ruth Shira Haas was ass.
Terrible.
Ass. Performance was ass. Character was ass. Character was unneeded. And what's crazy to me, I feel all that way without the external, current, real life political opinions about this character or actress.
Yep.
And so when you add that in, you just have to wonder, you risked it all for this?
Right. Trash.
Who the hell is this? What is going on? That was the craziest thing walking out of the movie, just to say, you hear all this buildup of, you know, how terrible it is that she's included, and you have to wonder, yo, if they're keeping her in, there's no reason. That could have been a no-name secret agent number 6. It was just another character put in front of Anthony Mackie to hold him down to me.
Yep.
That shit was so ass, bro.
Terrible, bro. Terrible. The fact that you trying to use that character as a stapler, as a way to add some weight to him, and it doesn't go well. I mean, she's half his size. She's barking more than she can bite.
Not well barking either.
She's not well barking. You're disrespecting the widows, bro. You're disrespecting the Red Room. What's wrong with y'all? Can't stand y'all right now, bro. Like, y'all just can't let the Red Room be a mysterious entity that creates killers. Like, I just can't wait till they get Yelena back in here, bro. Because honestly, I just can't. I can't. It was frustrating the whole flick. Her lines was trash. Her and Isaiah connecting at that trash, trigger, garbage, poo-poo, flat, whack. Every time she was on scene, I'm like, get her off the scene. Stop giving her so many lines. What's going on? Give those lines back to Mackie. What's wrong with y'all? This movie is poop.
With Ford being in the room when he's all like, we are no longer going to team up. Ruth, you have my full authority. I'm like, why? But it's politics, and he played the politics well, and he hit the whole, even though I know Isaiah's innocent, now that I know that the leader's in charge, I'm not putting myself on the line, so Isaiah's going to stay his ass in jail. Fuck Ruth. Fuck
Trash.
Ruth.
She's
Trash.
crazy.
Anthony Mackie. Now we could talk about him. We've said a lot, but all this to say, I believe if you let him loose and you trust him enough, I trust Anthony Mackie's performance to be ahead of a team. I do.
I agree, but they got to write it right.
I saw hints of it here, which is more that I can say since he's been used since 2016.
Yeah.
So I'm excited and hope that they use him well.
I think Anthony Mackie's great. I think he did the best with what was given to him. And I feel like what really was missing here was the, like you said, opportunity for him to take this to a place, a unique place. You know what I mean? A place that's not been seen before, a place that's not just trying to fit like a puzzle piece. I think that when you watch Anthony Mackie, shout out to my boy George again, but when he said that he gives side character energy, it makes me frustrated, bro, because I saw, I don't know if you ever seen the movie The Banker, but it's based on a in the 1960s. He plays an entrepreneur along with Samuel L. Jackson. His name is Bernard Garrett. It's actually a real figure that did this. It's a biopic. He's the main character, and he is astonishing in that film. That film is excellent. He's just warm and has gravitas and has sensitivity, and then grows and blossoms as a character throughout the movie and grows in confidence, and you feel it. That same kind of vibe and progression and coming into his own, that confidence, if he brought that into this film and he was allowed the room to through the script, I think we would have had a very different impression of him as a Captain America here. And I believe in him and his ability to do this. It's just going to require them letting him have more of a feel. And my worry is that in light of how the movie has done, they won't double down on him,
Right.
and they'll just say it was his fault, because it wasn't.
It wasn't
his fault at all.
He wasn't. Anthony Mackie was my favorite performance in the movie. Despite all the troubles, I know he laid it out there. And when he says that this is his movie, this is his movie. And I won't even take that away from him. Harrison Ford, like I said, is a great performer, and he gives a great performance here. I'm just upset, and I think it was a bad move to just hire him because he is Harrison Ford.
Yeah, I agree. I think Harrison Ford did a good job, but in light of all the other issues in the movie, It's just I it's not like one of my favorite or more memorable depictions of him. He just feels shoehorned, like
Right.
you said.
Yeah. Danny Ramirez. I enjoyed Danny Ramirez.
Loved him. I
And
love Danny.
you know where we're seeing him next? Do you want to know or do you not want to know?
Where?
Not the character, but the actor. He's gonna be on a certain HBO show.
Is he on Last of Us?
He will be in Last of Us season 2.
Fire.
Any Hispanics in that story plot that he might be playing?
Oh snap! He's gonna play Manny.
He is playing Manny.
Oh my goodness!
So I'm excited.
He's gonna do great in that role.
Yeah, absolutely. And Joaquin, I like Joaquin. I don't love Joaquin, but I've enjoyed him in Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and I enjoyed him a little bit here. I don't know if he'll show up on Young Avengers or if he's just gonna stick where he is at, but sure. You know what's funny? I like him being the comedic guy forces Mac even more to be the serious guy, and so I think that's cool. I like that.
They took the jokester off of him by putting in the young blood, and I like how the young blood keeps him hip and tells him things, and is again like that scene with the training with Isaiah and grabbing the flags and stuff. Like that was cool. I like how he gets to watch that. I also like how they have a little office set up. Like that was cool.
Yeah.
I feel that. And it makes me excited to see him come around more and to see their relationship continue to develop. But I just want to see it develop under different circumstances than this script.
Absolutely. Tim Blake Nelson as the leader. Listen, bro, they brought you back after 10 plus years and you performed. I don't want to hate your performance because I think the writing in the movie screwed you over.
Yep.
So I think if anything, all I have to say is welcome back.
Yeah, that's a good word. I mean, how is he going to perform when if you're comparing this movie to Winter Soldier and all the branding and marketing statements, you're sizing one entity up against Hydra. Like, it's just not going to work. Right. So I felt bad for bro, but at the end, I felt bad for the makeup days when it was putting that shit on his face because that was not it. But he did what he could, but what he had.
Carl Lumbly is absolutely fantastic every time I see him as Isaiah Bradley.
Love Isaiah. Wish we saw more of him. That dude is huge. It's a tall dude.
Giancarlo Esposito still bothers me when he speaks Spanish because it's not the best Spanish. And he's out here playing Hispanic guys and Hispanic villains, which I think there's a whole controversy right now. Is he even Hispanic or does he just look good enough? But I got to say one thing. I've been telling people I'm happy that he's in this movie and people are like, nah, he was dog shit. And I'm like, you know what? But he's escaped the Magneto and the Charles Xavier fan casts. And even for a while, I wanted him to be Norman Osborn. And then I was like, you know what? Nah, give him something fresh. This isn't fresh, but it ain't the big leaguer that people wanted him to be. And now, if we never see him again, I'll be upset. But at the same time, I'll be okay because Giancarlo needs to spread his wings somewhere else. And he's done it in a few places where people haven't looked, some shows or some other movies. But big name, big movie, big blockbusters, he needs to spread his wings. So he's here, and I'm happy that it's small a little. I
agree with you. I'm pretty sure bro is Italian, was born in like Denmark or something like that. Like I'm pretty sure Esposito is an Italian. Anyways, bro, I feel like I agree with you. My favorite Giancarlo, whether he wants it to be the case or not, is Pollo Loco. Like I feel like he needs the opportunity to express power, but in a way that's very refined. He's scary because he carries a certain level of gravitas, and he was given the opportunity to do that a little bit here, even when they're having the power play conversation and he's giving him intel on how things came about, who had him go get the venom, like the stuff, the serum. I like that. I like that about him, and that's where I get upset about Marvel here. It's like, not to make another big point here, but you've wasted Giancarlo. You wasted Christian Bale in Love and Thunder. Like, these are A-level guys who you're giving like C-level writing to, and it's just upsetting. So Marvel, please stop doing that. Just give us a C-level actor and stop, please.
Right.
Like,
Liv Tyler.
Stop giving Ruth more lines. Like, what? Give Giancarlo more lines. What's wrong with y'all?
Right. And we didn't need Liv Tyler back. I don't like Liv Tyler. I'll be honest, straight up. I don't like her. When she showed up, even for a little bit, I went.
Take her out of here, bro. Get her out of here. She caught a
Right.
bag off that too. That's crazy.
Suck my teeth, bro. Last person that I want to talk about for no reason at all other than I enjoyed him while he was on the screen. Look at you. Thumbs up.
Sorry, my bad.
William Mark
Yeah.
McCull.
Yeah.
He played the commander that him and Sam were talking back and forth, and I was pissed off when what happened to him happened to him.
Commander Duncan.
So acting wise, that's all I got. You got any other actors?
No. Everybody
Okay.
else was cool. Yeah. Layla, like the Secret Service agent.
Okay.
You know, like again, since they just made you the help, you didn't really get an opportunity. You were just another thing that we were stapling Sam through the story with. Unfortunate, because again, it's like I love seeing. You know, it's not very often that we see Black women involved in a Marvel any level of the context. Majority of those people are not Black, if we're honest. And so to have her be where she was, that frustrated me. But I was glad to see her. I hope that we get more opportunities to see stuff like that. You know, but it doesn't need to be Black Panther affiliated in order for us to have strong Black women as protagonists or supporting protagonists. What's wrong?
I agree. The end credit scene of the movie, I just want to talk about fairly quickly, just to say, on one hand, as a movie as a whole, I feel like connecting to the MCU, this feels like the most connected, even if it's messy, that we've had in a long time. The end credit scene, some people love it, some people hate it. Some people say, I like it. Some people are like, some people think it's ass because it's the same shit we've been getting, teasing for the multiverse. I already know that. And now Sam does. Yay. I get them. And then I also get the people that love it. And they're like, I would much rather have this that we know we're going to get versus some of the other end credit scenes we've got over the last few years, like Harry Styles in Eternals, where we don't know when the hell he's going to show up again. And so I think it's fair to say overall, you like it or hate it, it does nothing for anyone. It does nothing for anyone.
It doesn't. It felt like a waste of sitting in my chair waiting for the credits to roll up, to be honest.
I agree.
You could have just input that somewhere before the credits hit and given me a silly, Disney Pixar type short, and I would have been more appreciative than that, because it just felt.
I agree.
Sam knows the multiverse exists. Like, what's wrong with y'all? He jumped out a portal, like, to fight a Thanos that wasn't his. What are we talking about?
That is true. So yeah, something new that we want to do this season in CUZZO-OP is also attach our question for the episode towards the end, right at the end, right before our outro. And so for this week's question, it's going to be a very simple one. Did you enjoy Captain America: Brave New World? And where does it rank amongst the other Captain America movies for you? Let us know over on YouTube. So,
because for me,
I'll let it take it.
Because for me, I get, if we're talking 5 stars, we're doing 5 stars, right?
Whatever you with the halves.
Yeah, we'll do 5 stars since I know you on your letterbox timing.
I treat that as 10, bro. I treat that as 10.
Okay, cool. I give this a 3, a 6 out of 10, a 3 out of 5. And it's because the writing and the pacing aside, if they had had more of a well-written movie, it could actually have potential to be a 4. You know what I mean? To be a 4-star, 8 out of 10. There's a lot of potential. There was a lot of potential for this film to be a really good film. And that's honestly where I give it its love. It's the potential existing, but it was not potential capitalized on at all. So it felt like half a film. I'll give it half the stars, essentially. Really, I want to give it a 5 out of 10, but it wasn't like dog shit. Like, but listen, if you want to hear it in context, and this is something you should say too, I think, so that they can understand, Eternals is a way better movie than this. The Marvels 100%. Is a way better movie than this.
I agree with the Marvels take mostly as well. Mostly, I think that villain performance hurts me. Where if you say you prefer this one, I'll take it.
No, I would never say that. But the movies are better in terms of the writing, the implications, the weight, the combat, the connections of the characters, them being.
I'll give you everything you're saying. Everything you're saying, I'll give.
I love. They did it, and it's a part of what we've been exposed to. It feels productive toward the universe they're building. This movie does not feel productive. This movie feels like it's in the way. This movie felt like they had to check a box, so they did. And that is part of the reason why I give it such a low rating. But
I think I'll probably match. I think a 6 sounds good. I think I was like 6 or 7, because 7 to me is enjoyable, whereas 6 is decent. And I found myself somewhere stuck between the two, but I think our conversation especially has me leaning on the 6.
Yeah, it started at 7, but after about 30 minutes in, I was like, oh shit.
Right.
So,
So it's my least favorite cat.
least favorite Cap, definitely least favorite Cap. And I don't know. I don't want to even talk about where Marvel can go from here because, you know, at this point, I'm just going to act like I never saw this movie, to be honest.
Listen, here's what I'll say. What's the next Marvel we'll be talking about? Daredevil Born Again Season 1.
That's facts.
So you'll catch us then. And then you'll catch us for Thunderbolts. So.
And right after that, catch us for some final Fantastic Four. So.
Yes, sir.
Lots more Marvel conversations coming up from us here at CUZZO-OP. We're going to also hop on DC with Superman coming out. So superheroes are around this year. You know, we're going to get a bunch of superhero movies, a lot more than we've gotten in the past as we get ready for 2026, which is supposed to be super jam-packed with great movies, monumental blockbuster movies. So just excited about the future here, even if these movies are underwhelming. Somebody needs to bench that boy Feige, get that boy out of there. He doesn't need to be there no more, or he needs somebody to hold him accountable. Please, God, I'm begging you. Marvel, man, we've been here since the beginning. If you're interested in hearing our thoughts from Iron Man all the way up to where we are now with Brave New World, they exist somewhere in the ecosystem of our episodes.
Somewhere.
If you listen on YouTube, go back. If you listen on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, go back. We're there. We're talking about it because that's big for us here at CUZZO-OP. You know, we love our superhero movies. So we thank you for tapping in with us. Like Errol said, there's a question. If you're watching on YouTube or you're listening on Spotify, we want to hear what you thought about the film, where you rank it. Is it better than that? Is it better than this? What do you prefer? Talk to us. We love seeing conversation underneath the videos because that's what this is about, sharing our thoughts and then hearing other people's thoughts too, as you're all a part of this community. We thank you so much for being a part, and we thank you for tapping in with CUZZO-OP. You know, every time you tap in with us, you're always going to find three things. It's two cousins, one podcast, and endless entertainment. Fire Feige.